looking for enemies to slay.
Jeremy tweets in, will you push for an audit of the Federal Reserve as you did last session?
Absolutely. I work with Ron Paul on the Federal Reserve. Ron and I agreed 100% that the Federal Reserve has been beyond reach, beyond accountability. Think about this. If you had the ability to basically print your own money, where would the restraint be? The Federal Reserve has a practice known as quantitative easing. But you have to translate that. What does that mean? It means you print money, you create money out of nothing. Then what do they do with the money they create out of nothing? They put it into the economy, they give it to banks. Money that, and who's the Federal Reserve? Well, essentially we are, because it's the full faith and credit of the United States government has to stand behind what the Federal Reserve does. In 1913, our monetary system was essentially privatized. Now people will say, well, it's up to the private sector to make those decisions. Well, guess what? The Constitution of the United States, which I have in my pocket of my winter coat out in the lobby, the Constitution of the United States puts in the hands of the Congress, in Article 1, Section 8, the ability to coin money. So the money power is really vested in the government. We give it to the private sector, and they use it for, guess who? The private sector. Not to create jobs, but to help the wealth of the country pyramid. So Ron Paul and I agree. The Federal Reserve's role has to be changed. I think that the Federal Reserve ought to be put under control of Treasury, so it won't be a force unto itself. Because right now, it's not functioning for all the American people. It's functioning for a few at the expense of the many.
Given your relationship with Ron Paul, could you see supporting him in 2012 for president?
I like Ron Paul, and he and I may not agree on some domestic issues, but on international policy, on the Fed, we're in alignment. And when I said that during the 2008 campaign, there were people who had the vapors. Oh my God, you're talking about Ron. Listen, Ron Paul is a good American. He is solid. He is courageous. He's not afraid to stand up and speak out, and he's someone who I appreciate. We may not agree on everything, but I will tell you one thing: I respect him. And if he is a candidate, I'll always wish him well.
He's written several books. He has a new one coming out. What about you as an author?
Well, I wrote a book called Courage to Survive. It was published in 2007, and I've been actually working on a book over a long period of time about my experience when I was mayor of Cleveland, where as a young mayor, the largest bank in Cleveland tried to force me to sell my city's municipal electric system to a private utility in which the bank had major business connections. It's an interesting story because Cleveland was one of the few cities that was ever thrown into default over a political issue. And I, of course, said no. I refused to sell. The city was put into default. The good news is that Cleveland still has its municipal electric system. A few years ago, it celebrated its 100th anniversary. It provides power to about a third of the city. Over the history of Muni Light, as it was called then, it's generally provided electricity that was cheaper. The whole idea of it was to give people a choice, provide competition. There are over 2,000 municipally owned electric systems in the United States.
Still.
And to the best of my knowledge, haven't checked on a number lately, but that's something that I believe still is a real factor in the lives of communities across America.
So when will we see that book?
It's a work in progress. I mean, but you asked me, I have a number of different writing projects going. My daily life when I'm in Congress, I'm immerse myself in what's happening in the moment. Whether it's the PATRIOT Act up, I'm active on that, or issues trying to end war, active on that. So I do that, and when I have time, I work on my writing projects. I'll let you know. It'd be great to talk to you about it when we get to that point.
Well, Michael Motley tweets in, would you change the government relationship with Jeffrey Immelt, the CEO of GE and current presidential advisor?
Well, the Obama administration has been very heavy on advisors connected to Wall Street. Now, that may be, smart politics, because I suppose no one really wants Wall Street to come after them. But right at the beginning of his campaign for the presidency, President Obama made it very clear that he was going to be an ally of Wall Street. To me, that's fine if Wall Street's producing for the people of America. But what's happened is the finance economy has become a law unto itself, and it exists only for itself. It doesn't really exist for creating jobs in this country. I have a problem with that, and I wish that President Obama had a problem with that too. It's not enough to just go and give lectures to groups of businesses and say, hey, you should create jobs. Well, you know what? They're not doing it. And what you have to do is set preconditions for any kind of help they get. They don't get help. If they don't create jobs, they don't get help, period. Which is, one of the concerns I had way back when they were this issue of the government bailing out Wall Street. I voted against the bailout. And I said, look, why don't you have loan modification? Why don't you help people save their homes? The administration wouldn't do that. That's what Secretary Geithner said. He's told a Democratic conference that we're not, millions of people are going to lose their homes, as if that's just the way life goes. No, it's not. The banks and insurance companies ran a game that hurt the American people. The neighborhoods in Cleveland have just been decimated. I think that the administration's much too close to Wall Street and has lost its connection to Main Street in many ways. Now, it doesn't follow that anybody's going to come forward who's going to be any better. That's essentially what an election's all about. But don't expect me, just because I'm not running, to spare the administration any kind of criticism when I feel it's due. And on the economy, I can tell you, come to Cleveland, come to Ohio, look at what's happened to our industries. Look at how people are fighting to survive. Look at how people are just desperate to hold on to their homes. And then they hear from Washington, well, maybe we'll make some adjustments with Social Security and Medicare. No, 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 no. I think it's important for the Obama administration to be challenged. But, at least as a member of Congress, I'm going to continue to do that.
I want to get these calls in.